The start of it, as I said it. There you go, Brett. I got a shirt just like that. Okay, we recording?
We are.
Good evening, everybody. Today is March 30th. My name is Dave McDonald, Chairman of the Sewer Commission. I'd like to go over a couple of the CDC guidelines. As Chairman of the Sewer Commission, I'd like to do a roll call to confirm that all members in person anticipated on the agenda are present and can hear me. As I call your name, please say that you're here. Brett Ramson.
Here.
Carl Luck.
Here.
John Reynolds. Mike is absent tonight. And I'm Dave McDonald. We also have Rob Oliver.
Here.
Bob LaFave.
Here.
And Jane, you're there somewhere. I see you in the background. How you doing, Jane? The town of Lunenburg, in response to the COVID-19 virus, is currently following the guidance from the Lunenburg Board of Health of Massachusetts and the Department of Public Works in the CDC regarding the virus and the steps communities can take to prevent the spread. All town facilities are now open from 10 a.m. until 2 p.m. effective Monday, March 8th. In anticipation of the opening, town offices fully toward the end of March and the beginning of April. And according to the governor's orders, suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, and all public meetings are still being conducted remotely. The order in which you can be found posted is on the town website on the COVID-19 Information Center page, accessing through the town manager's webpage, allowing public bodies to meet entirely remotely. So as long as reasonable public access is afforded, and so that public can follow along in deliberation of the meetings. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting will feature public comment. For the meeting, the Sewer Commission is convened by video conference via the Zoom app as posted on the town website, identifying how the public may join. To start off with, I'd like to go into announcements. Bob, what do you have for announcements?
Just the recap of the town caucus on the 15th. We had 2 nominees, both Mike Nolt for a 1-year term and Dave for the 3-year term. And we didn't have anyone else pull papers. So those will be our 2 people on the ballot. Please vote for them.
Thank you, Bob. I'd also like to thank Heather Stoker for nominating me. As I just said, I was on vacation. And that doesn't mean you can't, that there's still openings out there, ladies and gentlemen. If you like to run for a position that's open, feel free. If you like to run for sewer, you can go in as a write-in. That's any position in town. So I know with COVID this year has been very tough. And I want to thank everybody who came out and went to town caucus as life gets kind of back to normal. But if you are looking, there's still opportunities. Do we have any public comment from the public? Bob, do you see any? Do we have any public comment from the board? Seeing none, let's move on. Our first appointment is at 5 p.m. Go ahead, Bob.
All right, we have Rick Blanchflower here on the proposal for 5 Chestnut Street to expand the sewer service area. And that is also why Jamie Rowe is on the call. I'm not sure whether Katie and Joseph Walsh and Mr. Baldessar is on here, but no, we have Jamie. So fire away, guys.
Who's going to do the presentation, Jamie?
No, fantastic. Fantastic. So I know some of you, but for the people I don't know, my name is Jamie Rowe from within Bingham Associates. My client this evening is Ricky Blanchflower, one of the owners of a piece of property off of Chestnut Street here in Lunenburg. Is it okay, Barb and Dave, if I share the screen with you? I can show some plans.
Yes.
Fantastic. Thank you. See if I can do this. Okay. So here is Mass Ave. And where Mass Ave takes that bend, Conrad's is down here. We have Chestnut Street. We have a piece of property here highlighted in yellow. And this piece of property is the property we're talking about trying to get redistricted into the sewer district. So we're here tonight to confirm where the sewer district boundary is, and we can have that conversation. And then discuss with the sewer commission redistricting to include the backlands within the sewer district so that we could set up for development in the future. This is the property. We surveyed the property. So we did a perimeter survey, topographic survey, flagged the wetlands. And this last week, we went out and dug test pits. And the test pits are in red. And each test pit that we dug, we hit ledge between 3 and 4 feet. So all the soil on this piece of property is not suitable for septic systems.
Excuse me, Jane, could you blow that up just a little bit for us?
Sure.
Thank you. One more, there you go. Can everybody see that?
Mhm.
And we have the sewer district, the sewer area, the boundary, coming in like this, coming up the property line and continuing with the property line all the way around. So everything to the left or to the south is in the sewer service area, we believe. And everything to the north of this line is not in the sewer service area, we believe. So we need your guidance to confirm that is true. What we use to do that is this map here. I don't know what I zoomed into the property, but let's see what it's. Sewer service area dated 5/5/2018. Not quite sure if that's the latest up-to-date one, so we can chat about that as well. But this is the property right here, and the line we show on our plan follows the lot line just like this. So this is our property, not in it. Everything in front of it is. We believe the district line goes across the frontage as well, but none of the proposed development can be located, can use the sewer if the houses are located back here, right? So my understanding is Ricky Blanchflower filled out a citizen's petition to get on the town warrant for the town meeting. And we're here here before the sewer commission to seek your advice and hopefully get your support for changing the district boundary to include this property in the sewer service area. So I'm here to answer any questions you have.
Jamie, the only couple questions I got real quick is, what is the frontage to the property? What is the legal frontage for that property?
Yep. So the legal frontage of the property, I'll show you on, we believe it's 152 feet by survey. And let's see if we can zoom in and see what is here. 152, yep.
Have you guys gone to the planning board or anything, or is this the first shot that you're doing?
No, this is our first step, Dave. This is our first step. Yep.
Before we open it up to other members, Rob, what's your feeling on this?
I mean, it's developable land other than the fact that you can't build septic systems on it if it's all ledge. You know, it's, I mean, I don't really have anything to say against it. It's, I believe, Barbara, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe we have capacity. And I know, Jamie, we had seen a plan that, I don't know if you have that plan ready to show, but with a number of townhouse style units. I don't know if that was the plan that's moving forward, but that's what was kind of submitted to us. So it was it 40 units, Jamie, that I saw?
Well, let me see if I can pull that up for you. This is one of the concepts that we were discussing. So there are 10, I believe there are 10 lots in 4 units per lot, so 40, correct.
Jamie, are they condos?
They're going to be, yes.
Okay.
Yep, but that's just one option that we were discussing. This is the roadway, 10 lots. They could be single family, they could be duplexes, they could be quads. We're not quite sure which way we're gonna go yet.
Isn't there wetlands in there as well?
Yep, yes, there is. So wetlands were flagged, wetland area here, and a wetland area in the back.
Oh, well, I like, Rob, you got any more comments?
No,
Okay, let's open it up to the board. Kyle, I know you're probably biting at the bit on this one. You have any comments, Kyle?
I was hoping you were gonna leave me till last, Dave, so I wouldn't have to talk so much.
Well,
Yeah,
I have
I
a
think that-
question if you,
Yeah.
if you want me to go ahead and ask.
Go ahead, John.
So the sewer service area runs through the property, but does not include the entire property. Is that how it was always set up, or was this a landlocked piece of land at one time?
So this piece of property was formerly owned by the Patton family. I believe there were several lots in this area that were owned by the Pattons. The Pattons closed their business, sold the property off. This property was never landlocked. It always had this
Right.
requisite 152 feet.
Right.
Yep.
The frontage part was never, but the back half was purchased and now it has frontage is what you're saying. Okay.
Yeah, so it always had this frontage, John. It
Okay.
always did. Yep.
We had a similar situation on Electric Ave. I think, Carl, you remember?
Yep.
Half was. Do you remember that area?
Yeah. I was just, when we were waiting, I was talking to Jamie. I just think, I think the last time I was out in the field with Jamie was checking test pits and on the old Whalum Drive-in.
Yep.
Yeah,
Kind of similar, only not at all. So John, did you have any more?
Go ahead. That was,
Carl, before you go, you want to be last. Brett, do you have any comments on this?
Well, actually, I would like to see them become part of the sewer system. My question would be, were they included in making the payments on the right of way over the years? What is that called? I'm drawing a blank.
Betterments.
Betterments. Have
Yes,
they ever
they-
paid into betterments over the years at all with that bit of their frontage that was in the sewer area?
Yes, they were assessed one betterment. And so any future or expansion of use would require additional privilege fees at this point.
Okay,
Now,
that was my big question.
no, that's a good question, Brett. Unsolicited, I got on the looking at this on the outside, I agree with you. I mean, if we can make this work, it'll be good for our sewer district, but let's see what Carl has to say. Mr. Carl.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I think this is a good topic because it's a perfect example of how we got here. If we go back to where this started for, Brett's, I think you're aware, Dave, John, I'm not sure how we were back in 2006. 2005, the sewer, the Board of Selectmen were still serving, had always and were still serving as the sewer commissioners. And they had just finished, I think it was phase 2, I get the numbers wrong. They just finished what is now sewered in town, and they were proceeding with a plan that was going to sewer basically the entire town. At that point, a number of residents got very concerned and involved, and the town agreed that, based on the residents were very, very concerned that sewering the town would have a very negative effect on the character of the town. And to look across to Leominster and other places that have sewer throughout town, as opposed to places like Harvard who intentionally do not have sewer. So there was a $400,000 article put through to do the comprehensive wastewater plan. And the comprehensive wastewater plan's mission was to establish what areas of need there were in town and make recommendations. And we've been using that pretty successfully as a Bible. Where this was in the general area of need, this area, as you can tell from these pest pits, not very septic friendly. But to the point of this particular piece of property, because I was there the night when Alberta and myself and at least 3 other sewer commission members were fine-tuning the sewer service area. And one of the principles we used was that we did not want to have sewer, and it's now our policy, to be a determining factor in allowing or enabling development where particularly where development would not be possible without the sewers. So that line across the front of the property, this property was, as you see it today, as Jamie said, it did have that frontage, 100 and whatever he said, 50-something foot of frontage. What we intentionally drew the line there to, because there was so much property behind there. We did not want the sewer service to cross that line and make the rest developable unless it could be developed, using septic.
Excuse me, Kyle, let's stop right there for a second. You might be a little wrong, or I might be a little wrong, but if I remember right, that piece of parcel in the front, there were 2 separate properties. That's why the line went across. That wasn't always one property.
No, that's not true. It was one property when we drew the line, and that line was the also coincident with the backside of property that's a few lines before there. And it was determined based on that street and the houses on that street, that the property within the sewer service area, the front piece of that property, is developable and can be built on. So that lot can be built on if the house is placed on the front of the lot, like all the rest of the houses on that street. It can connect to sewer.
Kyle, hold on 1 second. Jamie, can you bring up the other map?
Yeah.
From the sewer.
Yep, I certainly can. So one of the comments that you made, Kyle, I'll just let you know. You said a house could be built here and connect to the sewer. This is 152 feet, so it has a width of 152 feet. The minimum required lot width through the house is 175. So according to the zoning code, and 175 has been a lot width for many, many years. House would have to go back here in order to connect, but in order to build without a variance. But let me call up you want the assessor's map, Dave, or do you want the sewer service?
Sewer service. And if you can zoom in on that a little bit, that'd be great.
Yep. So right here is the property we're talking about.
So Carl, the question I would have is that you're surrounded virtually within, I mean, to me, it looks like a kind of like a landlocked piece of property. Especially the one in the back where it says where that peak is on Chestnut. But that whole area is suitable for sewer, don't you agree?
Oh, can you re-say that? What?
You see where the little V on Chestnut that points to an area that looks like a landlocked piece of property. So if you're looking over at the property that Jamie's talking about, it's got like a little pond in there or something like that.
Look at that. Yeah.
Okay, and you're saying that when they did the plan, the comprehensive management plan, they only took half of that property? Because
Yeah, the line, you see that that line is consistent with the other properties on that street.
Yep, this one.
Yeah, but that's a good, thank you for pointing that out, Jamie, because that's a good example. What we tried to do was to not enable large parcels that should be able to support septic, but not exclude parcels that already had a house. And if you look at the layout on that house, on that street, that's how you had to define the area to allow that house to be part of the sewer system.
So here we have a piece of property right smack in the middle of our sewer district, and I don't understand why that wasn't included. I mean, it's a nice piece of property.
And it sounds like it's in dire need of sewer to be able to be inhabitable.
Yeah, so I mean, you can discuss this more, but I think the people should vote on it. I don't see why we can't run sewer there, but go ahead, Carl, finish your thoughts.
Well, I would be strong against it because of how we got here. I mean, this is a perfect example of what the town is trying to protect against when they set this up. That is to take a piece of property that is otherwise not developable, and in fact, put on it 40 housing units. And the only way you can do that is if you give it sewer. And those 40 housing units are not in the town's best interest in terms of any studies, taxes, it's not in the town's best interest. At least that was the determination by the town when they passed and supported the policy. If it was one house, and I suspect, let me ask Jamie, when you did the test pits, I assume you were looking for a test pit that would support 40 condominiums and not a single home.
No. So when we did the test pits, I wanted to see the representative soil throughout the entire site to know whether or not we can do further testing for septic systems or come to the sewer commission to ask for a redistricting. So we did 9 test pits around the entire property, and we hit ledge 3 to 4 feet below the surface. So we know the soil itself is not suitable for septic systems. And we wouldn't be proposing one septic system for all 40 units. We would be proposing a septic system per lot for each 4 units. That's the way we would do
So
it.
let me ask you this, Jamie, if I see where you did the test pits. If you did a test pit closer to the road,
Yep.
could you saying that you don't feel you could find a spot that a single family septic using alternative innovative systems could be located?
So if again, talking about a single family home, that would be a different type of setup than I show on this plan, Carl. But
Right.
if you want, we can do a test pit right here and find out exactly what it is and report back to the board at the next meeting. That's fine. I don't have an answer for a single family home. I do have an answer for 40 units or 10 new homes. We don't have the soil to do 10 new homes. We certainly don't have the soil to do 40 condominium units. And no soil exists within the property behind the sewer district line that will support septic systems.
A single family home septic system.
Correct. Yep. Even a single family home septic system, no soil exists on the other side of the sewer service. Exactly. Yep.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I just wanted to make a comment. I can appreciate where Carl is coming from, but it's my understanding that on the sewer commission, it's not our job to control population growth and construction ourselves. I thought that was up to the planning board. We are to assess whether we would allow them onto the septic sewer system, but we're not here to control growth of properties. Is that not correct?
That is correct. I kind of call it our prime directive. That is correct.
Yeah, I don't think that's the correct interpretation of our policy. Our policy says that it's not our job.
It's not
development.
It's
And
not
this-
in our jurisdiction.
And this is a classic case of sewer enabling development that wouldn't exist otherwise.
Go ahead, Jane. Finish your thoughts. What you were saying.
Yeah. So even if we proposed a single family home according to Lunenburg's dimensional requirements for a lot, we would have to put the proposed house back here where it had at least 175 feet of lot width. And if we put the house back here, again, my understanding of your rules and regulations still would require us to extend that boundary around the house. So we would be coming to you whether we were doing a single family house or 10 new lots, right? That's how I look at it.
Yeah, and I think that's a good way to look at it, Jamie. I might support extending it back whatever 100 feet you needed to get a house in. I also would be surprised if the ZBA or whoever has to do it wouldn't give a waiver on the width of the lot, given the circumstance, and where the sewer line is, but maybe the sewer line could be tweaked. The problem I have is that I think this is just the interest of the residents of Lunenburg, because it's enabling a 40-unit development, which I guarantee, based on studies, will increase everyone's taxes. And this is just against what the community want to do, and why we have the policy
Kyle,
in place is to help guide future conservation commissions in terms of what what our mission from the town was.
Kyle, it's not our concern
And
what
you
they
feel
do
free to
with it.
interrupt me now, David.
Kyle, it's not our concern of what they're going to do with it. Their concern, they still have to go through planning board, but your interpretation is a lot different from my interpretation. And I just feel that 40 houses is a lot personally, but it's not in my jurisdiction to say that. Our concern tonight is can he get sewer? If he builds one house or 40 houses, doesn't matter. If we're allowing him to do one, Carl, then you have to allow him to do 40. That's my opinion.
No, it's not correct, because 40 is exactly what this that we're trying to protect the town against.
It's not-
Using sewer to
it's
have
not our
very
job.
dense development on land that would otherwise not
Okay,
be
I'm
developed.
not going to argue with this. Rob,
Carl, I have a question for Carl.
okay, go ahead, Brett.
Carl, it's a beautiful piece of property from the look of it. You see where the cul-de-sac is and the end there and the big area that is not wet. If I owned the property and I decided I wanted to put a single family in there, as far as a house, I could see a barn, I could see beautiful things happening. I wouldn't put it near the road where you're suggesting it needs to be. I'd put my house back in the middle there where you don't have neighbors 30 feet away from you, and put the house where it makes sense, even if they decided to go with a single family, in which case you would have to put the entire property within the sewer system to allow somebody to put a single family house where it really makes sense on a beautiful piece of property like that, on top of the other comments.
Yeah, Brett, I absolutely agree that, and what you would do is what I would do too. I haven't looked at the property, so I know how beautiful it is. It's got a lot of wetland, but let's say it's a beautiful property, would make a lot of sense to get out in a way. I am very hard pressed, and without further engineering and investigation, I'm hard pressed to believe that you could not find an alternative, innovative septic system that you could support a house back there with and not have to connect the sewer.
Okay. Rob, do you have any more last minute questions on this, Rob?
No, I mean, obviously, if it were allowed to be extended for the rest of the property, I'd need to be assured that, however many units are proposed, that we do have capacity, that we don't need any other improvements downstream. I'm not going to comment on, what the policy is or, what the town wants for these properties. That's not my job. My job is to look at the technical side of things. So I would just need to be, assured in the end that we have all the information relevant needed to make a decision on, the actual connection and the number of units. That would be my biggest concern.
I mean, we're a long way of getting this thing finalized. I mean, we're not the only department they got to go through. I know you're going to have to go through planning board. I know it might be hard pressed to put 40 units back there. I don't know. I think that if you, at the end of the day, if Rob can look into this, and Rob, let's just take a look at what is our capacity going to, this would be going to Fitchburg, is that correct?
Yes.
So, Fitchburg.
I believe it would be going to Leominster.
Yeah, this gets pumped up into the center of town and
Right.
then,
One question, just to be clear, 40, I don't know what the building codes are, Jamie, you're expert on them. Is this a 40B development?
No.
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 Okay.
Oh,
Can we, is there any more questions on the plan so we can have Jamie drop it so we can all see each other? Any more questions on this? No? Jamie, you want to take that up? Thank you.
yep. Hope the plans are helpful.
Let's open this up. John, I haven't heard from you. What's your comments on it?
Well, I have my personal views about what I would like to see or not see up there, but that doesn't really matter. And it's been brought up by a couple that, one of my concerns is capacity down the road. I mean, I don't know where we are exactly with capacity right now. I think there should be plenty. But I think the town is who voted on what areas would be the sewer service areas. So I think as long as the facts are presented to the town should have a right to vote and decide whether to move forward with this or not. So again, my concern would be capacity by throwing 40 units in there.
John, I agree with you 100%. There's not an opportunity to grow. I don't see us expanding our systems in the near future. Would love to. I think a lot of people know me, I like to do growth in certain areas as long as we're in the district. This is really in our backyard. I mean, do I agree with the 40 houses? It's not my opinion. I don't
Right.
make that judgment. But I think it's an opportunity for the sewer to support this project, whatever it is at the end of the day. Now, at the end of the day, between the different boards, it may be rejected. But again, and I got to agree with Brett on this. This is in our backyard, and it's something that we should look at. What I'd like to do is open it up to the public. Is there any public comment on this? And Bob, I can't see, so,
Haven't had anyone raise a hand yet.
okay. So I guess the marching orders would be to take a look at it and work with Rob as far as if we have the capacity, which I think we do go in the Leominster. And we'll go from there. But I agree, let the town people vote on it. It's not, that's up to them. And Carl, do you agree with that?
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, don't misunderstand. We don't get to decide. And the petitioner absolutely gets to go to town meeting. There's no question on either of those. I'm just trying to remind people what the commission's policy is. So that the town has to decide, there's no question.
Barbara, for the sake of argument, let's make sure we know what that policy is. Could you send it to all the commissioners and people that are going to be joining? And I'm pretty sure, like I said, I call it the prime directive. So we're all on the same page on this.
Yep, I had sent it to all the commissioners, I think, when in the package for the meeting.
Oh, good. Never mind, we got it here, guys. Sorry.
Barb, would it be okay if you send it to me as well?
Absolutely. I
Thank
have a
you.
request to you to send me some things, so we'll trade.
Perfect.
Brett, you have a question? I see you trying to raise your hand there.
well, we're just discussing our policy. One thing Carl has always harped on is that one of the biggest reasons, or one of the needs to be part of the sewer line that he requires, or he thinks is part of the commission's requirements, is the lack of being able to put in septic systems, period. So for me, it's a classic property, a classic example of a place where we should certainly offer the ability to extend the sewer system
I think,
to allow them to build whatever it is the town agrees on.
yeah, again, I think you're 100% right. And let's just go back, Carl. What did we decide to do on the Whalen Drive-in? That eventually made the whole thing into the sewer district, didn't it?
Yeah, that was with great pain and a lot of testing and a lot of a lot more interaction than just one meeting tonight. Going out in the field, determining that property could not be could not support a system.
Jamie, what were the engineer on that project? Do you remember on Electric Ave, the old
Yeah,
Whalen?
yeah, so that was Whitman and Bingham. We designed the site plan for Unitil. And we came to the sewer commission first, to talk about, even before Unitil purchased the property, we came to the sewer commission first and had the conversation. You guys supported that, and I believe, I could be wrong here, but I believe you were the sponsor of the request to get on the town warrant for the town meeting, right? So that went extremely well, and you know what happened after that? Unitil came in, developed the property, and I think they did a fantastic job.
You know,
That was a very similar situation where the sewer district line, I believe, went across the frontage. I think it did because the sewer line was right across the frontage on that piece of property as well. It just didn't include that property. But that was all ledge, 100% ledge on that piece of property. Yep.
Yep.
I remember up there on a Saturday going through all the pits, if I remember.
Yep.
Carl, and you were there.
Yep.
So
Yeah. I remember being out down in the muck. But it was different in a few ways. One, it was a piece of property that was in an area that the town was trying to develop for commercial, and it was a commercial use, as opposed to this piece of property. I'd like to, Dave, because we keep talking about policy. The policy, as Barb said, she sent out, and it's the Sewer Commission Development Policy. So the guiding principle of the Sewer Commission is to determine the most effective method of providing service to existing and new developments where alternate on-site solutions are not able to meet local and state health and environmental requirements. It is not the intention or goal of the commission to control or enable development. And this is pretty clear case where it's enabling the development. It's the sole feature of enabling this development.
Barb, can I get your comments on this?
Yeah, a lot of the comments have been made. One thing I do have included in that handout of the policies is that for an undeveloped lot, they have the right to connect to sewer. Granted, we've got the lot width issue, but that any expansion of use or additional capacity does have to be approved by a majority vote of the commission. So to approve it or recommend the expansion of the sewer service area is just the first step. And then the sewer commission does have the say on whether the expansion of use is allowed as well.
I think before we give a vote on it, I'd like to have Rob work with Jamie and go over some of the numbers. Rob, what do you think of that?
Yeah, that's fine.
I think we need some more information, Jamie.
Yep.
No.
No, that's fine. I actually gave Rob a call today. I had a couple of questions for him. One of them was capacity. But we'll hook up tomorrow and talk it through.
Okay. I mean, I know town meeting is coming up, and the more numbers, the more facts we have, the better it'll be for all of us.
Yep. Do you know when town meeting is?
May 1st.
May 1st? Yep.
At 9 a.m.
On a Saturday.
on a Saturday. Is it on a Saturday this year?
Yep.
Carl, what's your last comment before we end this?
I think I've said it all.
Okay. John?
I think if Whitman and Bingham works with Rob, we get some more information. I'd like to have that. I don't think there's anything we need to vote on tonight.
Brett?
I agree with John, and I've said my piece beyond that.
I appreciate that. And same thing with me. If you guys get together and let's put it on the agenda for April 13th. We can do that. You guys agree with that? Rob and Jamie?
When's your next meeting?
April 13th.
April 13th. Perfect. Yep.
Yeah, that works.
And if you have any questions in the meantime, feel free to reach out to Rob and Barb. And we'll see what it is there. I mean, right now it's just preliminary talk, and talk is good.
Yep.
Okay, anything else?
Nope. All set.
Jamie, it's good seeing you again.
Great to see all of you. Have a great night. Talk to you guys soon.
Good to see you.
Thank you.
Jamie.
Bye-bye.
We can move on to current business. Current business is 83 Whalum Road. Request for consideration. Rob?
Yeah, we've received the request from the Chavaris folks at 183. They did have a toilet leak. They are senior citizens and just are asking for some forgiveness on the bill. They have paid it, but they are looking to see if we can make any adjustments. We usually do not adjust for a toilet leak because the flow has still gone down the pipes. But they wanted to pursue it and see if there was a higher authority, so here you are.
This one, let's just start going around the horn and we'll start with John on this one. John? John, you got a package, right? You got the package?
Yes, yes, I did. You know, these are always tough ones. You know, the water did flow under the sewer system and someone does have to pay for it. And anytime we might give some relief for this, then there's another, 800 and something ratepayers that have to pay for this. So I guess I'm just a little hard pressed to make an adjustment.
Hold on one second. How much are we talking money-wise, Bob?
Oh, did I have that?
Yeah, I got it.
775 versus 7,300. So let me do it quick. I'm sorry. I thought I did, but I don't. Times 0.1265. It would be about an $825 credit.
Big leak.
Mark?
Is that right?
I thought the total bill was only 900 and something.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Well, actually, I did it from 775, and that goes below the minimum charge. So let me do. I can do it. I'll do it a different way. It's still 800. It would be $816 credit.
And out of curiosity, where's the number? What do you
I'm doing 7,300 at our current rate would be $923.45.
Yeah.
And our minimum charge is 107.
But is that what they usually pay, minimum charge?
Yes, that's our minimum charge.
They're
Okay,
usually
they-
minimum.
Yes, they run under, I've got a couple, not many.
Okay.
The last 4 quarters, their average was 775. So yes, they're usually under minimum.
So how much of a credit they looking for?
923.45, 923.45, 107, $816.45.
Okay, Carl, your thoughts?
I agree with John. My heart goes up to these people. I had a leaking toilet myself for a while. It was kept yelling at me about. But especially now that we are paying for every gallon that gets processed, it's not like the old days where we didn't pay for what was going out. We paid for what was going in, but now we're paying for what's going out. We need to pay for it. And this is also would be a very dangerous precedent. How would you say no to anyone who comes in and has a high bill and wants to get it fixed for some reason? So I would not be in favor and putting my toe in that water and adjusting the bill.
Could you repeat that, Carl? I'm having trouble hearing you. Just the last
I'm
part.
sorry.
You would not.
I just would not be in favor because it's a very dangerous path to go down. And somebody's, as John said, we, the users, have to pay for every drop that goes down the pipe now.
Okay.
So I don't think it's fair to the rest of the users.
Brett, your thoughts?
Well, there's a big part of me that agrees with Carl. I can understand their problem. I can understand the situation they're in. We are paying for the water going down there. What is our cost versus, do we know what the gallon difference in cost is, what we pay versus what our clients pay? Do we know that number? Out of curiosity.
Good question.
Carl, would you know that?
I don't know, Barb.
What's the question?
Well, we
rate-
obviously, we obviously have other expenses. And we have to plan ahead and so forth. So we're obviously charging more per gallon than we're actually paying as a commission, I would imagine, to our client. And so staying all the other obligations.
Right, and I do not have Leominster's rate at the top of my
Yeah.
head. I can look
Okay.
it up.
I guess it was just a thought I had that at least if we were covered for what it cost us, it would be a starting place if we thought about giving them a credit and holding back at least that amount that was literally costing us to send it down the pipe.
Yeah, that's an interesting thought, Brett. It might be nice to know that. But, we're not a for-profit business, and we don't have that luxury, and we had to borrow from retained earnings for this coming year. But yeah, I guess I would like an answer to that, Barbara, if that's not a real, I
Agonizing.
want to create more work for you, Barbara, but it is a slippery slope.
It really is.
'Cause I know
There- Yeah, and they're 518 for 100 cubic feet. Sorry, I thought I had it, and then I just lost it. So the difference in the cubic feet at the 518 would be 334.31 that we are paying Leominster.
Just for the water, not counting expenses and stuff.
Correct, not all the
Correct.
overhead, but just the flow.
See, Brett, I think my concern would be, and again, Kyle and John are both correct, it's going down in a drain, we're paying for the processing.
Right.
If she called the water department and said, hey, I got a problem, and the water department gives her credit, I don't have a problem giving her credit either. I'm based on that. And maybe, Bob, I don't know, maybe that's what you should do first.
Yeah, that's usually my first go-to is that's always the question. Has the water department given you made an adjustment to your bill? And that's when they do that, I am usually able to do an adjustment because there is an issue. But in this instance, there was not an adjustment to the water bill.
even if there was an adjustment to the water bill, it doesn't change how much water flowed into the sewer system.
Right, and the water department's not going to change it if the water amount is correct.
Right.
Yeah, and I think it's an interesting question, Dave and Barb, and the history, we kind of look at that, but that was in cases where we were using the water bill, the water district's numbers to do the billing and to pay Leominster. Then what the water district said was important. But in this case, we're out of that world. We really have nothing for the water district. And if the water district wants to give them a break, that's great for the water district, but I don't see how that would affect what our decision
Well-
would be on this end, because we're paying for every drop that goes down. I do like Brett's, out of the box thought about what's the real cost. I don't know how we calculate that. It's probably not as simple as taking the price differences, because there are other factors perhaps, but that could be something, because again, whatever we do, we should try to do in such a way that it creates a policy going forward for when this happens again, of what would we do? And if there's a mathematical solution, then that would be best, because it can be applied uniformly. So short of being able to assess what's the real out-of-pocket cost to us, I'd stick with this bill. But if our some analysis that says, okay, the actual out-of-pocket cost is this much, then we've got a number we could use in future cases as well.
Yeah, and I also would just caution against, by saying that we would adjust, we can have some not so truthful claims that it was just a leak when they're power washing or something. For that example, just to start making
I remember
adjustments.
that one, Barbara.
Right.
So it'd be hard to,
But
it's
those
hard
don't go
to
down.
prove.
Look, I think everyone has some sympathy here. I don't know, Dave, maybe enough's been said that you might want to ask for a motion.
Just there you are, just ready to do that. So I guess I'm looking for a motion. And
I would make a motion that we do not make an adjustment.
Second, any discussion? All in favor? John,
Aye.
Brett,
I'm gonna say aye.
Carl?
Aye.
And I for myself. Next one is keep that thought, is 19 Whalum Road.
Oh, it's not a doorbell?
No.
Okay. 19 Whalum is it's a similar type of question, and you as the higher authorities are here again to talk about it. This is a well customer, and we have a standard charge of $231.87 again with our current rate. It's been in place that we assess all the well customers 1,833 cubic feet per quarter. It was based on averages many moons ago when the sewer commission first got off the blocks. So that is usually just the standard charge. There's not usually any adjustments that can be made to that. So when I advised that, I think it was the daughter that had called, or the granddaughter, and they just asked for more consideration. So here you are.
What is the whole story here exactly?
This is a 90-year-old woman who lives alone and hardly uses any water and can't truly afford the quarterly charge of $231.87. And because of her age and fixed income status, she's asking for a reduction to the minimum charge of $107 instead of the $231.87.
I guess my question is, why isn't she paying the minimum already if she can't be using that much water?
It's a well customer. We don't have any metering of any wastewater, so we've always gone with a straight amount.
Barbara,
Thank
how many well customers do we have, you know?
We have 8.
8.
8 whole customers.
Paying $200 minimum.
Yeah.
What is the minimum if you're on the water department?
The water department?
I mean, if you're getting water from the water department, what's our minimum for that?
Our minimum is 846 cubic feet,
And dollar wise, I mean,
107. And they pay $231.87.
because of the well, Brett, there's no way to really meter the well. So there's a flat rate for across the board for people not doing the well.
Right, and when we looked into it a little bit, we did see, I think it was Fitchburg, requires almost the same type of metering as we've talked about with the deduct meter, that if a well customer wants to be assessed accurate water usage, they have to pay to install a meter. That's
Yeah.
just how another city does it.
I was about to suggest that very thing.
Well, I think we should take a look at this, and I just want to start it saying that you got a 90 some odd year old lady trying to make ends meet, and she's asking us to help her. That's the way I'm looking at it. Is it a business decision? Yeah, and that's going to be up to you three to come up with a business decision. But I mean, I just think there's a lot of people that need help. She's one of them, and there's 8 people on the well system now. Some of them may have families, some of them may not. I don't know, but we know about this one person. So that being said, let's start with John. John, what do you feel?
Well, I know there's a lot of people on fixed incomes.
Yep.
On the sewer system. This is a little different that it's unmetered, but are we going to get 7 more requests tomorrow if we vote to make an adjustment on this?
Okay,
It's a tough one.
right. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, that's a tough one. I'd love to help her out, just trying to figure out how to make that make sense. Do we know what the typical cost of installing a meter on a well system? I mean, should be a small thing, but someone has to.
You have to go out there and pull the meter readings too, if you do that.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it would, or obviously an electronic one that sends a signal would be best, but
It would
You know, they-
require a plumber, and I believe she'd have to pull a plumbing permit. The meter, now you're talking, well, a meter like that's approaching $200 alone. So all in all, by the time you get a plumber and a permit, you're probably, well over $500.
Yeah, it's the equivalent, I would assume, to putting an irrigation meter in.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, I would think it would be more over 1,000.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it would pay itself off within a year, but she'd have to come up with the money to do it.
Carl, what's your thoughts?
Well, again, I think it's a heartbreaking story, but it's the policy is, regulations have to rule. I think if we want to do something, but first I just like to clarify, Barb, in your email, you said 9 wells. Is there really 8 now?
Here's one not yet on board. So I have 8 current
There's one coming on?
billed customers.
Okay, so there's another one coming.
Yes.
I think it maybe, I looked at some numbers to see what makes sense. This is a 2-bedroom house, and using Title V rates, you'd be paying more than this actually. Our minimum rate is extremely less than the equivalent of a 1-bedroom Title V flow. So it's not relatively that high. I think that it would make a lot of sense for us to revisit this policy of this flat rate. As we talked about some good things, I think metering. I think people should have the opportunity. Our current policy address it at all. It just says there's a flat rate if you have a well. I think if we had a policy that allowed people to install meters, you say it's what Brett said is true. It's a year or so payback. If you've got this kind of bill, and some of the people may save more. I don't know. So I think before we make this kind of exception, we should revisit the policy, and in that policy discussion, use this as a good test case of what could happen and what would what would the policy be to be fair for this case and a heavy user case. So that would be my approach, would be address it via a policy change that if it did get changed, she would benefit from. That might take 3 to 6 months, but it's only quarterly. So the investment wouldn't be that bad, and maybe a new policy to give people with situations like this the ability to get something that's closer to the actual cost. So I wouldn't be in favor of this, but I would be in favor of reviewing the policy.
My opinion on it is, I mean, we could talk about this forever. I think we have a policy. And is it fair? No, I don't think it's fair. Especially if you have a one-person elderly living in a house. So I think we should look at it, go with the flat rate as a minimum across the board, which is the one number, whatever we have there. And then if they have a 1-bedroom house, you add money to it. If it's a 2-bedroom house, you add more money to it. If there's 5 people living there, you add more money to it. And again, my heart goes out to this lady at 19 Whalen Road, because $100 a month is $100 a month. And I won't ever forget when we were looking at Pratt Street. We had a gentleman, we were trying, and Bob, you might remember this, when we were soliciting to get sewer down there, and the guy wanted to not pay sewer. He goes, I go to the bathroom once a day. You want me to pay this kind of money? Which was a funny story. So I think we ought to do this quick. I think she's asking us for help, and if we can sit here and come up with a solution, that would be great. A payment plan might be something to look at, but we got to do something. And this is what I was afraid about when the pandemic started, as far as trying to get people the bills paid and so on. So I understand what she wants, but I think we ought to do something. Any other comments on this?
Just to clarify, Dave, and I'm sure you didn't mean it that way. You said $100 a month. It's $100 a quarter.
I mean, I personally would vote to give her this right now on a hardship case. And I remember when I first came on a commission that we said that made a commitment that we would promise that we would listen to everybody in their circumstances. And I can't go back on my word. This is a person who's calling us and writing us a nice letter, asking for help. And I think as one of our customers, we should help them. I would approve this if it was going up to vote, but Barbara is doing a dance over there. Barbara, go ahead.
I just have a point that she's not asking for a one-time adjustment. She's asking to pay 107 a quarter going forward.
Right, I understand that.
Okay.
I mean, we got to redo our policy, but what do we do today? And I would, in her case, I would make an exception. Now, is that going to open the floodgates? Probably, but probably not. I hope people have compassion, and that's my opinion. But anyways, John, go ahead, Carl. Carl, will you say something?
Yeah, I was just going to say that you kind of started a little walk down a potential policy that makes sense, tying it to bedroom. I don't think it should take the commission, more than a month or so to come up with a policy that would be more fair to her and other users, and get it in place before the next billing if you're determined to do that.
Did she pay the last billing, or is this the billing that just went out?
I believe it's already been paid. This was just regarding the last bill.
The letter says a check was included.
Yeah, that's right.
So again, I think I know where I stand on it, but I agree, Kyle. Let's look at it and make a new policy. Do it before we got to put a deadline on that, Bob. But we should have a new policy in place for the next quarter to handle the 8 well people.
Okay, I will have it on the next agenda.
Okay, thank you.
I apologize. The check that was included, that was our last discussion of the
Right.
900 plus.
I believe it was paid.
I just read it, bro.
It may be
I'll
wrong.
add, as far as moving forward with a policy, I think it makes a great deal of sense to address that, because not only in the kind of the inverse to this situation, you may have a very large family who's producing way more than what our current minimum charge is on wells. So I think you don't even want to make it a voluntary policy. I think it needs to be a mandatory policy for well users so that everybody pays their fair share. Because obviously, like Dave said, you could have a household of 6 or 7 people who are using 4 or 5 times as much as this poor woman. So I think it's something definitely good to consider.
Yeah, and Rob, I agree with you 1,000%. Let's look at it that way. As far as meters and stuff, I don't know. I mean, I don't know where these properties are located, but again, we got to discuss that. But how do you guys feel about metering people with wells, or making it mandatory from here on in that if you have a well, you got to get a meter, and maybe grandfathering the people that are in the system now, something like that.
Can I just add
Okay.
one thing? One of my 8 or 9 wells is out of water district area. So it would be extra for them to go out of their own normal routes. So just so you know.
Okay. Again, something to discuss, but let's put that on one of the top priorities for next quarter.
And it was paid.
Was it paid? Okay.
Yes.
But Brett's right. I just read the letter too. Brett, I thought the same thing, just so you know. Okay, the Fitchburg sewer use ordinance change. Brett, you want?
I'm not sure we really answered the question. We're saying no, or we're saying yes, or we're just putting it off.
We're gonna have to have a policy and then tell her what.
Okay.
We already paid this quarter,
Yes.
Right.
so if we're gonna do it, let's throw the old policy out, put a new policy.
Okay.
Sorry, I thought that was the way we were going. But everybody agree with that? We can do a little vote on that.
No, I
Yeah,
don't.
and
Go
go ahead,
ahead.
John. You
No,
first.
go ahead, Brett.
I was gonna say, I'm good with that. I just think we want to make sure Barbara reaches out, obviously, and let her know that we're addressing her situation and looking at it, possibly doing a policy change in the near future. I assume you're doing that, Barbara.
I will.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you very much.
Will now. You want a little vote on that, Bob, or are we all in a good understanding of what we're doing?
I think we're good. I can just say that it was discussed and it'll be on on the next agenda.
That's a good thing. I'm glad we're doing that. Okay.
Dave, excuse me, or Mr. Chairman, I should say. I'm going to have to leave.
Okay.
I know you'll make good decisions the rest of the night.
John, thank you for coming on.
Okay.
You're very important through this, and I hope you get better and you look good. See you.
Everyone take care.
Yeah,
Thank you for
Thank
being
you,
here,
John.
John.
Okay.
Thanks, John.
Good night.
Thank you. Good night.
What a nice guy. Good guy.
Yeah.
Okay. Brett, you and I have a thing to do. We gotta go see Barbara in regards to the Fitchburg sewer ordinance. About that sewer thing.
Well, I haven't we've been talking about getting together to go over that in person, you and I.
So why don't we
And
get together, we'll get a calendar and let Bob know when we can go down.
let's do that.
Today's the 30th. I think we should do it within, say by April 9th, we should set a day to go down there, or morning, or whatever you like, a morning or afternoon. It's gonna be a crap day. Thursday, I think is gonna pour. Do you work?
Yep.
Do you work in the rain? Brett?
Me or Barbara?
No, you, Brett.
Oh, yeah. I work every morning. I work every afternoon. I work almost every Saturday. So afternoons work best for me.
Afternoons, okay.
Yeah. Say mid-afternoon on a rainy day, it'd be great if we could figure that out.
Right, well, I mean, there's one coming Thursday.
Yeah.
But you know what, let's you and I go offline, I'll give you a call sometime.
Yeah.
We'll work out something. Bob will let you know.
That sounds great.
Okay.
Okay.
Just my busy season. I got to be careful with that.
Like I said, we're just starting to get busy too, I know.
Thank you.
Okay, Bob, what do you got, commitment approvals?
Yes, I do. I have one correction for Q1 of FY21. I had it as 212 46181. And upon submittal to the town accountant, she realized I had pulled a number and just mistyped it. So it was up 10,000. The commitment is for 10,000 more for $222,461.81. Just need your approval and vote to approve the new amount.
You need a vote on this?
Yes, because we vote we voted on the last one, so I'd like just a revote to correct the amount.
Okay, we're looking for a motion to approve the numbers that Bob just mentioned.
I'll make a motion to revote on the corrected numbers on
Second,
this bill.
To approve the corrected numbers?
To approve.
Correct.
Carl, you said second?
yes, I did.
Okay, all in favor, Brett?
Aye.
Carl?
Aye.
And I for myself.
Thank you. And then we've got the Q3 one just completed for $247,910.73 for Q3.
Looking for a motion to approve. Carl,
So moved.
Brett? Looking for a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, Carl?
Aye.
Aye.
And I for myself.
Thank you.
Carl, when you talk, you sound good at the beginning and then you fade away. Is something wrong with your mic, or is your voice going down when you talk?
Maybe I'm turning my head.
Okay. But I mean, you start off good, but then it kind of like, it's hard to hear at the end. Okay, minutes.
Minutes of 3/9 were sent out. If there are any changes or
Everybody
just vote to approve.
looking for a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes of 3/09/21.
Second,
Favor, Brett?
Aye.
Carl?
aye.
I for myself. Business managers reports.
All right. Just to state it that we did have our presentation to FinCom on 3/11. It went very smoothly. Had good comments at the end. So I just wanted to make it known that it was presented and didn't have any issues with it.
Bob, before you go on, I just want to thank you and Rob for the support on the FinCom. And I got to thank all the members on FinCom, and also a thank you to Terry, who will be leaving the board this year. She's been an asset to the town, so we wish her well. The sewer commissioner wish her well. Maybe we can write a letter to her, thanking her for her time. Okay.
And we will miss her.
Yeah, she's very nice. And it was a good presentation. I don't know if any of you guys saw it, but thank you guys.
And Carl, Terry's leaving.
I didn't know
No,
that.
no
That's- I just
excitement
make
at
a note
town
of
hall.
You didn't know that? Okay.
Maintenance plan, we did meet with Carl. Rob and I met with Carl and went over some changes. I don't have the updates for this meeting, but I will have it and get it out to everybody for the next.
Okay, I knew there was a confusion. I know Kyle brought up Elizabeth Ave. I thought you were going to bring that up when you went to talk about the maintenance on the plan. So can we make sure that's on the agenda on the,
I was gonna give an update on that in just a minute.
there you go.
Anything else on the maintenance plan, and Rob or Carl want to add?
The only thing I'd like to add is I really appreciated your time, Rob and Barb, and openness to discussion, and I thought it was very productive, and I'm happy that you were able to entertain it. So it went, at least I think it went well.
Yep, no, I agree. It went well. Carl and we talked through a lot of things, and Carl was willing to listen to my viewpoint, and we, based some decisions on compromise on both sides, and I think the end product will be good.
Excellent.
Thank you, Kyle, for doing that. Tell Phyllis we said hi. We see her in the background.
She's got her eye on me.
She should. Okay, Barb, what else?
We've received the latest invoice from Fitchburg. It is at $17,708.48. Just advising. plan to pay it, and it's based on the numbers we provide them, so I don't have any issues with it. Just trying to run it by you.
Thank you.
And then lastly, on Elizabeth Street, Rob and I had discussed it. I know Rob's done a little legwork on it, so I'll turn it over to Rob.
Yeah, so I reached out to the engineer, Weston Sampson, right, Barb? Pat
Yeah.
Cotton?
Yes.
So I did reach out to Pat regarding the I&I study they had done and some of the recommendations he had provided specifically to Elizabeth Street and some of the services in the main there. So he actually did send me some more information. He sent me a few contractors who do that kind of work. So I will be reaching out to them to see if I can get some quotes preliminarily to see what it's going to take to get in there and basically follow those recommendations, which are to clean it, camera it, test it, seal any joints that are found to be leaking, and seal up some of the services as they tie into the main. So I'm interested to find out more about it and talk to these contractors and hopefully get some good prices from them.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, if I could. Yeah, that's great. I'm glad you did that, Rob. There were two things. I keep saying Elizabeth Street. I'm really focused on. There were two issues on Elizabeth Street. One was identified as in the pipe itself that goes down the street that they were recommending some remediation of, which sounded like what you're talking about, cleaning and caring. And then there was a very specific lateral where they saw this 1,440 magic number gallons a day coming down a lateral from a homeowner. Were you referring to both of those issues or only one, Rob? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't think it's necessarily that one individual service. I don't have it in front of me, but the report identified 3 or 4 services that may have been leaking at the service connection. So I don't believe it's the one you're specifically talking about. That's a separate matter. That's not something I think we can do with the technology that we're looking at to do this work. If I'm not mistaken, I believe that one requires work on the service itself, not inside from the main, which we're talking about doing here. So that's something entirely different, and I guess we need to stay on that as well.
Yeah, and and I'm sorry, it wasn't clear. These things take on a life of their own, and I assumed I wasn't clear enough. I'm sorry. You might want to look on the work that you're talking about on the street plumbing, so to speak. At the time, the commission and with Jack had looked at the sort of the cost and payback for that particular endeavor, and it didn't look like paid for itself, but a fresh set of eyes is always a good thing. So I'm happy you're looking at that. But that connection to the house, and the reason that I'm keep bringing it up is because it's beyond our ability to do anything, because it's beyond the lateral. So it's really a homeowner issue. We sent letters from legal to the homeowner. I forget the last one, but again, basically that one lateral, they had a very specific I&I inflow of 1,400 gallons a day, which is $3,000 to $5,000 a year just for that one. And it should be the homeowner's responsibility. And we were trying to be very careful with legal to build the case of you need to fix this, or we disconnect the lateral because you're dumping I&I into our system. That's one of 2 or 3 streets, I think, Barb, that still we determined the homeowners may still have clay pipes. So Jack felt pretty clear was a clay pipe issue. So there's a break in the pipe on the homeowner's property. So I really think we need to move that along. It's been a couple of years now. Our users are this $3,000 to $5,000 a year because of this one homeowner's problem. So I think we need some action to whatever the next step was, and legal, and you probably need to go back and look at some of the documents, Rob. Legal had identified like a 5-step process. And I think we're around step 3 where it was send this legal letter saying, do something or else. And I forget what step 4 and 5 was, but it's totally in the commission's hands. It's really, at this point, quite frankly, in my mind, it's not really an operator's issue. It's a commission issue because we have a known, we believe to be a known identified violation in process. And the commission has to, I think, decide, what steps to take legally or otherwise.
Hasn't this been going on for like a lot of years, if I remember right?
This was identified back, I don't know what year that report was done. It's probably 3 years ago now. I don't know, Barb, if you remember, maybe you do, Rob, looking at that report with Pat.
Yeah, it was
But
17.
it's not, it's been, yeah, the problem is it's not going on. It's just kind of sitting on the shelf. And we just keep
It's gonna change.
paying the bill.
Well, let's do this. I got a couple things to put down for future meetings, Bob. We can write this down.
Mhm.
One is Esposito. Want a status on that? Where is he on that? Has he satisfied all of Rob's requirements and all our requirements?
Actually, I can offer, before you move ahead, Dave, I can offer a little on that. John did have a surveyor lined up and was just waiting for the warmer weather. From his account, the surveyor has now, I guess, just closed up shop, retired. So he is looking for someone else to get the survey work done. So he is on it, and he actually, he was very honest with me, and I told him I appreciated it, and he had some other, he actually kind of owned up to the whole thing, and said he made a mistake. So he's been really honest with me, and I do appreciate it. So
Appreciate that, too.
yeah, so just waiting to, he can get it done. Unfortunately, I do know all the surveyors are super busy right now, and this is probably not something they want to deal with because it's so small, but he'll get someone eventually.
Well, as long as you're satisfied, that's fine with me.
Yep.
The other one is Elizabeth Street. Let's stop talking about it. I don't want to keep it on the agenda. So whatever we have to do, let's start doing it at our next meeting. So we have to send out letters, get Adam involved, but we got to get that fixed. This is, I think it's been going on more than 3 years, if I remember right. So let's get that. Give that to Kyle as a gift for leaving the sewer, fixing Elizabeth.
Could we maybe have Barb send out that, resend everybody that letter from legal, which sort of identified some steps that he was proposing of what he and we could do, just to refresh everybody's memory?
Right, and I do also want to, and I will do that.
Great.
But Rob is working on it. The question kind of is, I don't know if, I believe Rob hopefully has the solution, or will when he talks to these vendors. It more is the question of, will the sewer commission pay for it, or do you want to go after the homeowner? And I think the first step is that it needs to be cameraed and find out exactly where it is located, if it is on their property.
Maybe I misunderstood Rob, but I thought Rob said that, because there's two issues. One was
Yeah.
the line down the street, which was proposed. The other issue is this one house. I think Rob is only following up on the line down the street.
Yeah, yeah. Not to interrupt you, Carl, but yeah, Barb, there's two different issues here. There's one individual homeowner, and I know you've mailed this person in the past asking for them to fix their main. That's a separate issue from what you and I talked about as far as hiring a contractor. The issue with the main is not something that we can camera unless we can get access to their basement, and then be able to, access their plumbing and open a clean out. So it's really, this one's you got to dig it up and replace the main. There's really no other way that I'm aware of to repair it. So that's why you need the cooperation of the homeowner. And that's why I think what Carl's saying is we have to revisit what the legal steps are moving forward. And if we're on step 3 of 5, if mailing letters was step 3, then what's step 4? How do we pursue getting these people to make the repair that needs to be done?
I think the next step was the attorney then, if what the vendors can't do, if they are unable to do this from the road.
Yeah,
then
and I can,
it will have to be a letter from Adam, which he had said before.
okay, and I do have to talk to these contractors, so that's a question I can ask. I mean, if it's something they tell me they can do, they've got the technology to do it, then so be it, and we'll pursue that as well. But I think for the moment, we have to assume that this is a repair that the owner needs to make. So we'll continue on that course.
Well, I mean, either way, if we have to, we can, again, see what the attorney says, but we can save it from the street too, if we had to do something drastic. I mean, there's a lot of ways to look at it, but let's just get it done, I guess.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, just to save Barb some work, I did find, I did the communication from, from Adam that I can just send to everybody, it's public information, and it was a 6-step, and the first one was issue a notice of violation order, and I think that's what legal has already done. Then the second one was issue a complaint, maybe issued concurrently with number, don't know where that stands. And then within 10 days of receipt of the above, the violator may request a hearing. And then there's other options. So I'll send this out, Barb, and I'll obviously.
Rob as well.
copy you. Yep, the whole team.
And the other thing I like to put on for future,
But so the main thing then, Barb, the job I think for you, Barb, is which step did we stop at? Because I know we've issued a legal letter. I don't know if we also issued a complaint.
Cal, so just send it to Bob and she'll get back to you where we are, because I have no clue. Send it to Bob and Rob too, where we are in the steps. The last thing before we go, I got another meeting I got to hook on to is, let's put on the agenda. I'm looking for the Fed money for any capital expenditures. I think Rob and I talked about this for a few minutes, but there is money out there that I'd like to sit down with Leominster and see if we can fix the Leominster area with the new counterpart about pulling grants to try to pay for all this. But the feds are dumping $1 trillion in projects, and I'd like to see if we can get a small portion of that. Rob, any opinions on that?
Oh, yeah, no, I totally agree. If Leominster's willing to work with us and try and fix that area by getting grant money, I'm all for it. I happen to sit on a meeting today with Montechusett Regional Planning about upcoming grants and grants opportunities. So they didn't get into specifically all the money they're talking about for this infrastructure and where that's going, but that's certainly something I have my ears open to anyway.
Now, a question I got for, have you ever written grants before?
I don't have a lot of experience with grant writing, so if this is something we can pursue with Leominster and you can guide us on it, then that would be really appreciated.
Yeah, why don't we plan that, Barbara? Maybe we'll reach out next week to the sewer guy in Leominster and maybe get the mayor involved in it out there. And there was one more thing, I forgot what it was. We'll let that one go. Okay, Rob, one more thing. I know you're getting busy with other activities in town, so let us know when you are busy and your schedule. We're trying not to dump more stuff on you as it is, but I know this is your busy time, and I appreciate what you do for the town, trust me. But we don't want you to go home and pressure yourself about the sewer. I mean, everything will get done eventually.
Yeah.
And last thing is, we have a pool policy. Are we going to announce that? You have a pool for filling? You still do that?
Yes, we do.
You want to put that on our webpage or let people know that if you have a pool, to let us know so we don't get charged hundreds and thousands of dollars.
And we'll do that.
That's all I have. So do we have any public comment from the public? Do we have any public comment from the board? Carl?
It's not so much a public, but a request from the manager's report. Barb, you're going to send me the pump station flows from the Woodward and Curran algorithm.
Yes. Yeah.
Great.
Send you the flows is
So
what
that-
you said?
What that algorithm gave us out of this prior billing for in terms of
Right.
the flow.
I know,
from
it's
pump
on my
station.
list.
Okay, great. I do have one comment. I'd just like to plant the seed that, Mr. Chairman, you mentioned at our last meeting favoring keeping the meetings, once we're out of Zoom world, keeping the meetings at 5. And I would like to comment before I forget that I really would encourage you to consider going back to the normal 7 o'clock, because it's more, once we're done Zoom, the only real access people will have if they don't attend the meeting will be the minutes and the one televised, which is only half of them. So it won't be as available to the public, and it's difficult for the public if anybody did want to, make a public comment during the meeting. 5 o'clock, hopefully when things are back, people will be back at work. So I would encourage the commission to consider going back to the normal 7 o'clock.
Any comments?
I do not.
Okay, and my public comment would be that when we ever do get back, I think you're going to see a different world. I don't think you're ever going to see Zoom go out for the next few years. And my concern was also communication with the town. And I'm very happy the way the town has been communicating through Zoom. I mean, I see a lot of boards in town that I never knew existed. So I guess that's going to evolve with evolution as we go forward in the history of Lunenburg. But that would be up to a future commission to decide when they want to meet. Okay, with that, I'm looking for a motion to adjourn. Oh, I'm sorry, hold on. Upcoming meeting schedule is April 13th, 5 p.m. It'll be, again, remote access. And April 27th, and another remote access. So we're still going to be remote up until May at least. So with that, I'm looking for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Looking for a second.
Second.
All in favor, Brett,
Aye.
Carl?
Aye.
And I for myself, Bob, Jane, thank you guys very much. You guys have a great night, and I'll see you soon.
Good night, all.
Thank you, Dave.
Aye.
Thank you, Rob. Good night, everybody.